The Edmonton Oilers, like so many teams, are through the quarter point of this shortened NHL season as I'm joined by Mark Spector. And not shockingly, we're going to discuss Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. What have you thought about number 97 and number 29 for the Edmonton Oilers so far this season?
Well, production-wise, they've been going crazy, right? And they both just finished off 10-game point-scoring streaks in the that all those 10 games occurred in the first quarter. So that's 10 out of 14 games right there. Listen, Gene, the way they produce, we're starting to expect it. They carry the team on their back offensively. I want to say this: they're both rounding out their game. Draisaitl is well into the pluses. He's about a 58% face-off man. And Connor McDavid, for the first time in his NHL career, is over 50% last I checked on face-off. So that's important. They can score. We get it. But they're both starting to play a much more well-rounded game that'll help the Oilers win.
Well, I wonder then, Mark, is this at all surprising the way they've begun this season, or should we just start to expect that these two players just continue to get better as they move through the early and midway portion of the 20s for them?
Well, listen, I think that they're right in their prime, right? They're basically both in their sixth NHL season. So they got it figured out. They're comfortable. They're leaders on this team. They've been doing it they were 1-2 in scoring last season, Gene. It looks very much like they might be 1-2 in scoring this season, given health and all those things. This is their heyday. We're in it now. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are both absolutely in the prime. They're going to split Art Ross trophies for a while here. And if they're not 1-2 in this race more than once over the next 5 years, I'll be surprised.
Well, then that takes us to the rest of the team, because they've got their man, they've got their job covered. How do you feel about the way the Oilers have tried to fill in the other spots so that they can complement these two superstars?
And that's the job here, right? They're both, like I say, in their sixth season. Draisaitl played about 37 games 1 year before that, but they've made the playoffs technically only once. They didn't get credited last season. They should have made the playoffs, but the pandemic came, and we all know what happened from there. So one playoff appearance in 6 years, it's clearly not good enough. There's all this talk about wasting Connor McDavid's great years, now Leon Draisaitl's, and it's fair conversation. But make no mistake, management here in Edmonton is absolutely aware of that. They've drafted much better. They're adding drafted players like Jesse Puljujarvi, like Kailer Yamamoto, like Ethan Bear, like Caleb Jones. All their free agent efforts in the summer are to fill in below bottom six guys that make them better. A defender like a Slater Cuckoo, who's not a sexy guy, but he helps keep the puck out of your net. So they're working on it here, Gino. But I think before anyone could say Ken Holland's done, he's going to have to find himself a number one goaltender instead of two guys who kind of share the ball here.
Is this maybe a harder job than people would expect, because you've got these two huge building blocks, but maybe it isn't as easy as everyone from the outside might think to give those two players and this team the right type of players so that this club not only makes the playoffs once, Mark, but makes it a number of years in a row and becomes a perennial Stanley Cup contender?
Well, the only difference is patience. Look, give any GM in the league two of the best players in hockey and he'll take them, and then don't tell me that it's difficult. They're blessed here in Edmonton. They got two great players to build around. Let's make that exceptionally clear. The problem is patience. People say, hey, let's go. Let's get some Stanley Cups here in Edmonton. These two guys are in their prime. Come on. And we all know that there are no fast building jobs. The Peter Chiarelli era came and went in Edmonton with very little success. And now Ken Holland's here. It's only his second year. And sure, he wants to win a Stanley Cup right away. Don't all the people in Edmonton. But he cannot be enticed into doing stuff fast. You can't build this team through free agency. No good team is built through free agency, only augmented at the end, but not built. So to me, Gene, no one's feeling sorry for Ken Holland and his building blocks, but he just needs not to succumb to the pressure of wasting those Connor McDavid years. He's got to build something that lasts, and building something that lasts doesn't happen overnight.
And if you're Edmonton, then, Mark, will you always consider yourself to be a challenger, in this case, in the North Division or Canadian Division, but a team that has a chance, or an even better chance, when you have Connor and Leon consistently in your lineup?
Oh, listen, you could, what was the statistic the other night? Neither of them got a point against Ottawa. Edmonton didn't have a win a game in which Draisaitl and McDavid did not have a point since November of 2017. That's 28 games where when those guys didn't score, the team didn't win. So maybe that they won a game the other night to step in the right direction, Gene. But listen, it's a pretty good team. Like, I don't think they get the credit sometimes, Gene. They were 3 points out of first place when the pause came last March. They were the best Canadian team when the pause came last March. And then the pandemic came. They played a series against Chicago. They were terrible. They got blown out. I get it. But this is a team that was a playoff lock last season. I think they'll make the playoffs this year, barring anything unforeseen. And again, you get into a game where you got 97 and 29 on your side. Chances are you're going to get enough goals most night, Gene. The key in Edmonton is to keep on the other side from getting more than you get because you can't defend. They got to be able to defend enough to let 29 and 97 get the job done offensively.
Mark, appreciate the insight. Makes a lot of sense. We'll see how it rolls out for Connor, Leon, and the Edmonton Oilers the rest of the season.